Hi, this is Leslie Kramer. I'm here at Institutional Investors Mutual Fund Awards Dinner. Joining me now is Carlos Féged, who is Senior Vice President and Head of Leveraged Credit Research at Hartford Investment Management. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Leslie.
Sure. So you were very instrumental at building the leveraged credit platform at Hartford. And I just wanted to know if you could talk to us a bit about how you implemented this and how it's been successful.
Yeah, sure. So I think if you were to look back 6 years ago when we first started putting together this platform, you'd find a situation that's very different from what we have today. So before we had two groups. One did research just on bank loans. One did research for high yield bonds. Today we function as a cohesive unit. We're a single group that does both high yield and bank loans. And I think what makes us very different today than where we were 3 years ago is our people, the fact that we speak the same language, and the investment process. So in terms of people, we're now up to 9 senior analysts and 4 junior analysts with varied backgrounds. People that have done bank loans before, people that have done high yield before, people that have done neither before, but who produce top quality research. In terms of the common language, we can now effectively communicate, whereas before we really spoke very different languages. And in terms of the investment process, well, that's really kind of how we go to market every day. So those three things are kind of the keys of what we've done over the last 5 or 6 years in establishing this common platform.
Okay, great. And then in addition to your role as head of leverage credit, you also were named co-portfolio manager of a $413 million Hartford high yield fund. So can you talk a little bit about how the various skills you've had to use for moving from one to the other?
Yeah, so the way we manage money in high yield is very much from the bottom up. So the skill set as a research analyst is easily translatable into a skill set for a portfolio manager. And I think there are essentially 3 things that distinguish our investment process. They're grounded in that fundamental research, and they're what really can easily be translated into portfolio management. So I'd say that the 3 key pillars of the investment process are: one, our keen focus on valuing the assets of the business that we're lending against. And that is really done through fundamental credit research work. The second key pillar is that we look up and down the capital structure. We look at bank loans, high yield, convertibles, and we see where the best relative value is given what our assessment of the value of the assets is. And then the last pillar of the research process is a vigorous debate of our investment thesis in credit meetings, which are attended by portfolio managers as well as research analysts. So as a good research analyst, by having kind of honed in your skills on those 3 pillars, you've really laid a rock solid groundwork for being a portfolio manager.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. And then what are just some of the new skills that you found you needed to employ as an investment manager?
You know, in portfolio management, I think there's definitely other skill sets that come into play. I think there's really 2 that are a little bit different than what I used to do when I was doing just research. One has to do with just having a very clear sense of what each security is supposed to do in the portfolio. Why do we own it and what do we expect out of it? And clearly communicating to our research analysts what it is that we're looking for in securities is really the role of the portfolio manager. And that's something that I wasn't doing before when I was just doing research. And then the other one is just incorporating a little bit of a macro view. As much as we are a bottom-up shop, there are certain macro factors that we have to keep an eye out for. And how those macro factors interact in our portfolio is something that is really new to my role in portfolio management and something that's kind of key to success there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And lastly, how does it feel to be given the award of Rising Star?
Well, it's an honor. And it's an honor in a peculiar way. I'm originally from Colombia, South America, and cycling was very big when I was growing up. And our cyclists would win stages in the Tour de France and in a lot of cycling competitions. And every time they won a stage, people would ask them how they felt, and they would always invariably say the same thing. They thank their sponsors and they thank their team, which got to be a little corny, but I feel honored in a Colombian cyclist type of way. It wasn't my own doing that, created this platform. It's the product of a bunch of people whose hard work is, I think, also recognized here. And so I feel thankful to my sponsors, which in this case are my mentors who have guided me through this, and the team that we've got in Leverage Credit, which I think is a fabulous team. So I'd say honored, but in a Colombian cyclist kind of way.
Okay. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.